Welcome back. Let's check crypto. Bitcoin this morning trading lower. We were looking at a risk-off situation at the top of the show, and Bitcoin and Ethereum and XRP are all down this morning. The cryptocurrency seeing a bit of a flash crash last week, reigniting debate about the operating hours of spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds. Apex cryptocurrency collapsed, falling to 110,000 from 116,000 within minutes after President Trump threatened the 100% tariffs on China over Beijing's aggressive stance on export controls on rare earth minerals. But, of course, the president told me yesterday that a 157% tariff on China is unsustainable, and that moved markets this morning. Joining me now is Trump Organization Executive Vice President Eric Trump. Eric, great to see you.
It's great to be on, Maria.
Thank you so much for being here. And you're digging into crypto. You've got your company, World Liberty Financial. I want to get your take right off the bat about what you think about that quote-unquote flash crash last week.
Well, listen, I always laugh whenever anybody talks about crypto crashing. I mean, you look at American, Bitcoin, you look at Bitcoin in general. I mean, Bitcoin this time last year, Maria, was 55,000, roughly 60,000. Right now we're sitting at, what, 110, 112. And so at a high of 126. There has been no better performing asset over the last 10 years. I mean, year over year, you've had compounding about 70% returns on Bitcoin alone. There's other currencies that have run even hotter in the last year or two. Ethereum has run incredibly hot, and, a couple of the other ones, Solana's done incredibly well. But, I mean, crypto has been the #1 asset class for just about the last 10 years, Bitcoin leading the way. I've never been more bullish, but I always love when something runs, it literally doubles in a 1-year period of time, then it pulls back 10% and everybody says, hey, it's a flash crash. It kind of makes me laugh. The reality is you're going to have much higher returns and you're going to have higher volatility. That's the nature of crypto, and the people who buy the dips historically have done tremendously well.
Yeah, it's a great point to show where it was a year ago and where it is right now, for sure. Do we have a sense, do you have a sense of what will be the more predominant, uses for these currencies? And is it going to be Bitcoin? Is it going to be Solana? Is it going to be Ethereum? Which one would you bet on long term?
Yeah, listen, I have a company called American Bitcoin. Is listed, obviously, on the NASDAQ. It's doing tremendously well. So I believe with my heart and soul in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is digital gold, right? And then if you look at Ethereum, right, I mean, Ethereum is really digital oil. It's what's going to make the whole system work. And I've never been more bullish on anything in my life. And Maria, for this country, it's funny, you were talking about the China war. I know you're speaking to my father this weekend. There is nothing more powerful than stablecoins for this country. Every dollar from Asia, every dollar from Africa, every dollar from South America, they all want to be on the U.S. dollar. They don't want their respective currency. No one wants to own the euro. No one wants to own the pound. You know what everybody wants? Everybody wants the United States dollar. And so all of a sudden you've got this stablecoins all over. We have one of the largest and fastest growing, USD1. Everybody wants to be on the digital dollar, and the digital dollar, stablecoins, allow people from all over the world to actually have the U.S. dollar as opposed to their currencies, which in most cases are a disaster. I mean, imagine being in Zimbabwe where your currency is inflating at 10,000% a year. People want to be in the dollar, and that's going to bring trillions of dollars into this economy.
Yeah, a great point. And, it's an interesting scenario that we're looking at today in terms of the usage for these cryptos. Thank you for that. Let me move on to foreign affairs, because the president will host the president of Ukraine today at the White House. Zelensky will be there in the Oval Office with President Trump. The president is considering whether or not to give Kyiv Tomahawk missiles ahead of his planned meeting with Vladimir Putin in Hungary. Now, I do not expect the president to give the Tomahawk missiles. The president told me that he and Putin will meet in the next 2 weeks. But, Zelensky's going to try to get him to send the Tomahawk missiles. Yesterday, the phone call with Putin seemed to me to create some pressure from Putin not to send the Tomahawk. What are your thoughts on this conflict as the president just came off of that historic peace deal in the Middle East?
Well, I'm sick and tired of it, and I think everybody in this country is sick and tired of it, and I think the world's sick and tired of the death and destruction for no reason whatsoever. Maria, you watch these videos, you'll be on YouTube looking something up, and they'll pop up two beautiful young kids. They come around a little corner in a trench, about a pound of pressure right here, and a life is extinguished. And you're sitting there saying, why? Why does this need to happen, right? And you look at how many wars my father has stopped around the world. I mean, go through all of them. Look at India and Pakistan, right? Look at Thailand, Cambodia. Look at obviously what he did in the Middle East, bringing all these leaders together and not just stopping them in a way where both leaders are thrilled, saying, thank you, Mr. Trump. I mean, you've really done something incredible, and we're both happy. That doesn't happen. And I think, Ukraine and Russia is really the last major conflict that needs to be stopped. My father has put his heart and soul into bringing peace to the world. And it's amazing if I go back 10 years where you had Hillary Clinton saying Donald Trump is not going to be stable. He's not going to, he's going to use the nuclear button. You can't trust him. He's going to bring us into every war. My father has been the greatest peace provider in the world. There's never been anybody who stopped as much conflict. And that's the last one he has to get done. And mark my word, Maria, he will get it done. He is hell-bent on having peace in this world and stopping the death and destruction and the murdering of young kids for no damn reason whatsoever. The entire world's sick and tired of this nonsense, and it has to stop on both sides.
Well, I mean, look, when President Trump left the Middle East, Hamas started executing people again. You're talking about a completely different culture than any of us understand. I mean, the president is out with a stark warning for Hamas about disarming, and if this bloodshed persists. He posted this on Truth Social. If Hamas continues to kill people in Gaza, which was not the deal, we will have no choice but to go in and kill them. Eric, the president told me yesterday that it would be likely Israel in charge of doing the deed and ensuring that Hamas is disarmed forever.
Here's the one thing I can tell all your viewers, right? Just look back in history. We've seen this book before. You had al-Baghdadi, you had Soleimani. He gave them plenty of warnings. Don't play around, otherwise I will come after you, and he did go after them. He did the same to Iran. He was incredibly patient with Iran. Guys, get rid of your nuclear program, otherwise we are coming in. We're going to do something about it. He warned them for a month, and then he hit them kind of viciously, and he took care of the problem. He is not a guy who's sitting there bluffing, and I hope Hamas knows that. And by the way, I sure as hell hope, Venezuela knows that, and all the drug cartels in Mexico know that. This is not a guy who bluffs. If he says he's going to take care of a problem, he might give them a week, he might give them 2 weeks, but he's sure as hell going to take care of that problem. And so if I was Hamas, I'd be very careful in terms of what they're doing, certainly these executions. And if I was the drug cartels, if I was the Venezuelans, I'd be awfully careful about sending any more fentanyl to this country.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I mean, I sit here stumped as to why we are so reliant on communist China. For 10 years, you've seen attacks on President Trump by his political, adversaries in Congress and elsewhere. And for that 10-year period, wouldn't it have been better for the American people, for people like Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi, to, instead of saying Russia, 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 shouldn't they have said China, 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 and ensure that we were not so reliant on the Chinese supply chain? I mean, I know you're out with a book, Under Siege, which is doing very well, and it's about your family and the attacks for the last 10 years. What do you want to say about that, Eric?
Well, listen, I never thought I'd be a #1 best-selling author in this country, right? And people are pissed off. People are pissed off at what happened. They're, upset. You mentioned Russia, 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 but it's beyond that. It's the DAs. It's the weaponization of government. It's silencing all of us. Maria, they silenced you. They came after all of us, right? The 91 indictments of my father, the leaked tax returns of our entire family and our entire company to the New York Times, the dirty dossiers. I could go on for an hour. The debanking, you and I have spent a lot of time talking about debanking, what Capital One did to us, what Bank of America did to us, what J.P. Morgan Chase did to us. And they weren't just doing it to the Trump family. They were doing it to all Americans. They were doing it to all conservatives. If you believed in crypto, if you believed in, make America great again, and you wore a red hat, you were losing your bank accounts at Wachovia. You were losing your bank accounts at Capital One. It was so fundamentally un-American. I think the reason the book has gone so viral is based on how upset Americans are. They're pissed off at what happened, and they want real accountability. And I think my father's getting that real accountability right now.
All right. We should point out that Bank of America and J.P. Morgan have both said they did not and would not debank anybody for political reasons. We want to make sure to get that statement out. Yeah, okay. Eric, always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much. We'll be watching your work, certainly. Eric Trump joining us this morning. Thank you, sir. We'll be right back. Stay with us.